Good afternoon again. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. We'll get to JRC in a moment. First, your disclaimers, and then your trigger warnings. If you're unfamiliar with the Stop the Shocks campaign, you're going to find pertinent links right there in the description box, as well as the campaign against the troubled teen industry. We include Autistic Coil's massive archive on the subject, where we get the bulk of the material for the JRC situation for this channel. We got Neurodivergence article. You remember the one that they interviewed over 800 ABA professionals in regards to the JRC's so-called behavior modification program that got so deep under the JRC skin they threatened them with a defamation lawsuit if they did not remove it from the website. Neuroclastic politely told them where they can go, so please read the article and share it. We also included in their Neuroclastics link to their GoFundMe, because unlike the GRC, in case they ever do see through with said threat, we do not have access to unlimited streams of money. More is the pity, because I would be out of here so fast. You don't want to know the level of disappointed I am in regards to the decisions going on in this country. There's so many feelings there, I don't know what to tell you. So let's get back to the subject before I take us on a left turn into left field, straight off to who knows where. But yeah, we've got that in there. To the trigger warnings. When we talk about places like the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center or Agape Boarding School for Boys, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and get clips of surveillance footage of people with mental health issues and disabled people being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, please use the headphones. Also, the channel is marked not for kids for a reason. We use profanity and speak on dark subjects. If your child is 16 and younger and watching, parental supervision is advised. Alright, there's another word salad I'm going to be taking you all through, so let's get started with it, shall we? These attempted behavioral treatments include extinctions, differential reinforcement, discrete trial learning, functional communication training, antecedent interventions, teaching self-restraint, sensory diet, speech therapy, occupational therapy, physical therapy, and completed analog functional analysis. Now that is completely different to the full functional analysis, and it's not going to help us here in any way, shape, or form. We're going to get to that in a moment. But first, we've already looked up each of these different so-called non-invasive procedures. The fact of the matter is, they're invasive as fuck. Just because, JRC, it does not involve physical punishment, does not mean it's not invasive. If someone invades my space and takes something that belongs to me against my consent, even if they did not use something like the JRC's human shock collar on me, that's invasive. If you take something from me and then tell me that the thing I bought with my own damn money has been removed from me and that I had to pretend to be the perfect little neurotypical, granted I'm reading into that, but I'm pretty good at reading between the lines, then once I earn it back, I can have that given to me. If you think that's non-invasive, you need your head examined. Because it kind of sounds like you might need to be in a program of your own. Hear what I'm saying? Yeah. None of the things that they are mentioning here are in any way, shape, or form so-called non-invasive. The JRC calls it non-invasive because those programs are not engaging in corporal punishment the way the JRC does. But in the real world, Still invasive. Okay? Let's also go in here. Right? Speech therapy and occupational and physical is something that's pretty normal with most treatment programs. But what about the other things that they mentioned, Tiff? Why would they be unsuccessful? Because you don't know which problems you're treating. Here's what happens when you are put into a program before a proper foundation can be set by means of a full functional behavioral analysis. What ends up happening more often than not, I know this because remember, I was incorrectly diagnosed as a kid, is they literally treat you for all the rumored issues that us neurodivergent has, and not at all for the issues I actually do have. Let me say that again. Without that proper foundation to help better inform an educated decision in regards to what type of program said kid needs to be in, if you don't have that foundation, it doesn't matter what kind of intervention you throw the kid into, because the people who are a part of that treatment are given nothing in regards to where the problem areas are. And as somebody who's gone through it, when I'm being treated for things I do not do, and being forced to do things that I have no difficulty with, while continuing to suffer and getting no help whatsoever for the problems I was having. You want to talk about my attitude problem? Because from about second grade to freshman year, I was just getting more and more and more agitated and frustrated. I really was. My aunt and I don't see eye to eye on most things. But I will forever be grateful for her that she actually took the time to do the research so that we could figure out what was actually going on. And that she helped in the beginning to really get me into the service system and help me navigate it. You know? Because without that full functional behavioral assessment and proper diagnosis that was reinforced by 3 other teams, at least 2 more teams afterwards, because remember, I get reassessed once every 2 years, then you're going to end up having more success. Because the people that are all a part of that circle of support that are assisting you in making the decisions in regards to your own treatment program, all the cards are on the table. Nobody's having to play guesswork, which means you're not wasting the program's time, you're not wasting the direct care staff's time, and you don't have a poor teacher who's just literally gets so frustrated that they're just trying to throw things and see what sticks. You see? Now, they mentioned analog functional analysis. I'm going to show you the difference between the two. Analog functional analysis. I'm going to tell you what it is, and I'm going to tell you what the problem is with it. An analog functional analysis is a method for observing behavior in different environments to identify the causes of problem behavior. Now, how would that work? The experimenter creates a situation that is similar to the client's typical environment. The experimenter manipulates variables in the environment. The experimenter observes and records the client's behavior in each condition. The experimenter analyzes the data to identify patterns and trends. The experimenter formulates a hypothesis about what maintains the behavior. Here's the problem. The behavior is a symptom. It's playing guesswork with the cause. Okay? Well, what's wrong with that? Isn't what full functional behavioral assessment is? Yes and no. Here's where they differ. They start by literally going in and manipulating the environments, right? At least my experience with the full functional behavioral assessment, although this was part of it, there was also very long conversations with myself included. So, I was asked things such as, what do you think what's going on in your head, in your mind, when you have that type of behavior? Right? So it's based on more than just observation. It also was based, in my experience, by also talking with me, talking with my teachers, talking with my aunt, talking with my mom, talking with the small circle that I first started as my circle of support. It wasn't just based off of observation alone. Okay? So the experimenter formulates a hypothesis about what maintains the behavior, whereas with me, did they give me a hypothesis? Yes. And some of them were so ridiculous. So, what are you doing when you're doing that? Are you trying to get attention? And the look I gave. Staring them right in that spot right near where their eyeballs were. Like, what in God's name makes you think I am trying to get anyone's attention? The whole idea is that when I'm having those behaviors, I want their attention elsewhere, so I don't have to deal with that level of embarrassment and public shaming. Please and thank you. And usually, particularly if they're neurotypical, their hypothesis tends to be ridiculously long because it's based off of the reasons they would think that they might exhibit that behavior, as opposed to considering the fact that we are not working off of the same operating system as they are. God, re-explaining that every 2 years is such a pain. Now let's go to full functional analysis. And then we'll get into the assessment. FA is a systemic method for observing how a person's behavior changes when environmental conditions are manipulated. The goal is to the underlying cause of behavior rather than just treating the symptoms. So here we are focusing on the trigger, not the behavior itself. Let me say that for the kids in the back. Full functional analysis is systemic method for observing how a person's behavior changes when environmental conditions are manipulated. The goal is to identify the underlying cause of behavior rather than just treating the symptoms. The behavior is the symptom. They are trying to get to the trigger. Okay? Now, let's get a little bit more into this here. So, this will give you a little bit more. Again, the whole thing is to identify the underlying cause of the behavior. So, you get into identify the target behavior, and when it comes, you collect data through interviews. What did I just tell you all? They didn't just observe me and create a hypothesis. They spoke with me. And they always do, lengthily. Observations, document reviews, create a theory about why the behavior occurs, test the hypothesis. Do you see how this is more well-rounded? See where it's more rounded? Yeah. That's why I continue to say, if you do not get the full functional behavioral assessment done, it doesn't matter how well the school was recommended, or if you're putting your kid into all the things that have been recommended to you for some of that diagnosis. If you do not have that proper foundation set, you are up shit creek without a paddle. That is not the kid's fault. They should not be blamed, and they sure as hell should not be penalized by being thrown into a place like the JRC. You see, I was first diagnosed incorrectly in 2nd grade, and I maintained that diagnosis until my freshman year of high school. Okay? Yeah. When I got diagnosed properly by a team of neurologists, psychiatrists, and psychologists, and then got those results replicated with 2 other diagnostic teams, we didn't just go, well, obviously we got to keep taking the drugs that she is. No. We went back and did the full functional behavioral assessment. Got rid of the medication I did not need to be taking for a diagnosis I did not in actuality have. And from that full functional analysis, created a program along with supplemental medication in regards to anxiety disorder and severe clinical depression that best fit what was actually going on with me at the time. If you don't have that, whatever program you attempt is not going to work. It is really, at the end of the day, that simple. The analog functional analysis, the full functional analysis, the assessment, the full functional behavioral assessment, which is also known as the FFBA, is more well-rounded. It's not just observing and shooting your hypothesis and not letting anybody else get a word in. It's more thorough. It's a better way to use both observation as well as recognizing that each observation, people are going to see different things. So lengthy interviews, what's going on in my head when I was having those more prevalent issues. It goes further than just you staring at me by coming in there and like rearranging my environment and then say, well, she's doing it because of this reason, because this is what her face looks like. But her face always looks like stone face, especially when she's stressed. Exactly. You need the full, well-rounded. Or else, you're just taking a guess. Granted, it's better than nothing, but it's still never going to give you the solid foundational information that a full functional behavioral assessment will. So you know what? I'm not surprised that it failed. Because once again, you're playing Russian roulette with somebody's treatment program. Literally throwing all these things at them to see what sticks. And by the way, doing that when you're autistic is not our idea of a good time. A lot of times, if there were situations where I had to do a whole bunch of different crap being constantly changing within my day, behaviors got worse out of pure frustration and exhaustion. Crazy, right? Alright, we're gonna go ahead and close out for this one, folks. We don't get very many views on this channel, and the few we do tend to get removed from time to time. So please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe. Please don't forget to hit the comments. I appreciate your time this afternoon, and as always, folks, we here at Spilling Tea hope you have a good one. I'm gonna see you all again here in a few minutes. Bye-bye, everyone.